Insights channel. Steve here. Now today I'm going to talk to you about something from the paranormal. It's the only way I can describe it. Something happened to me this morning. This was very unusual. I don't often record dreams that really mean something. I've described maybe a handful or a couple of handful of things like that, but it's very few. But in the last few years it seems to be getting more frequent. And they're very graphic. They're always graphic, detailed, and that's how I know they're not just a run-of-the-mill. They're not just some vague dream or something. And I'll tell you what happened. As you know, I do research. I do many different things. I write books. I also tell people what's happening around the world. There's odd things that stick out. And the things to look out for, things to watch out for, being the last days. And about Bible prophecy and researching that. I'm doing quite a few different things right now and researching. I'm finding out some fantastic things, and I'll get around to telling you. But right now I want to stick to what happened this morning. So I normally get up around about 7 in the morning or just before, and I spend the first 2 hours basically working on new books or research, or working on my audios like this one now. Actually right now it's 10 to 4 in the afternoon, and I just thought I'd better get this down, because if I don't, I probably won't, so I'll probably forget about it. So anyway, about 1 minute to 7 this morning, I was dreaming. All I can remember, I know it was a vivid dream, but I can't remember most of it. All I remember is hearing myself, we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to take this. And it was to do with the one world government. It was to do with tight control. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this, I don't know, was a police officer or the future, military guy, New World Order guy, I couldn't tell you who, but somebody came right up to my face, like within like an inch of my face, and he had a device like the new mobile phone I just bought, right? One of these good screen ones, but it was right up to my face, literally. But it had a lot more things on it. Dials or camera lens, or it had different things on it that I'm not familiar with. Electronic things. It was so real, so vivid. Then I woke up, and it was gone. I thought, whoa, what was that all about? But it was too detailed to just be a figment of my imagination, or just the wispy end of a dream. But it's not much I remember there, except that I said, we're not going to take this anymore, we're going to fight. And then somebody shoving a camera-like device up my face. I didn't see any flash or anything. But then I woke up and it was gone, dissipated. And then I got to thinking, what on earth could that mean? Why would somebody shove a camera up my face? Then I got to telling my wife about it, and we were thinking about, have we seen anything like that before, or have we heard about anything like that before? And then we both separately were thinking about Men in Black. You remember in Men in Black, I think the first episode, 1997, well, they had this device, which I think they called it a neuro something to do with the brain. And it was just looked like a thin flashlight thing with a light at the top, and they say, look this way, and it flashed, and what it would do, it would wipe out the memory of the people of whatever they'd seen that they shouldn't have seen. I thought, well, that's interesting. Anyway, we both got something that camera shoved in my face at the end of my dream. That's exactly what that was. But it didn't look like in Men in Black, but it looked like a mobile phone, for whatever reason. It's still mysterious to me now. But I thought I would tell you about that in case it has a bigger meaning than, oh, we're seeing the future, we're seeing technology of the future. Well, it's funny, this morning I looked it up. I looked up Men in Black, and I looked up scientists saying, is it possible to do something like that? Have a device where you could wipe people's memory. You could take away their memory in a flash, like in Men in Black. And the scientists had already been working on it. And they were working on mice and to try and they succeeded in doing it. They say they succeeded in wiping the memory from a mice, but the catch is they can't do it yet with humans, and you know why? They said in order to do it on humans, they'd have to have electrodes planted in their brain. That's exactly what the scientists said. So, whoa, we're getting close. But then I was thinking, why would the authorities want to be able to wipe people's memory like you saw in Men in Black with that neuro device that those famous stars had in Men in Black? I also found out they were wearing sunglasses because the sunglasses was protecting them from the dangerous rays that cause you to lose your memory. Like I said, it's called a neuro something. I don't know, remember it, neuro something to do with the brain. And I also happen to know that many of the sci-fi movies, they all often have predictive programming in them. Meaning, the powers that be, they like to tell people what they're going to do in the future. They've seen that many times over. I could give you a list of so many movies just like that that do exactly like that. Like you had V for Vendetta, came out in 2007, or 2008. And in that movie, V for Vendetta, it was dated for the year 2020. And there was something very odd going on in the year 2020 along that line of total dictatorship and electronics, etc. And many other movies who have shown they were going to do it, sometimes even give it the date. Well, what were they trying to say with Men in Black? Now let's think for a moment. In Men in Black, and like I've told you on other videos, I've seen the Men in Black, I've met them in person, 1995. Except in my case, it was a man and a woman, not two men in black. It was a man and a woman, and neither were they dressed in those big hats the FBI used to wear, but they had skin-tight black costumes on, long black boots, and they had very dark eyes. And but that's a whole other story. I've related that before, of the Men in Black that I met. But I was wondering, from the movie Men in Black, why would you be showing a device that can cause people to forget what they've just seen? What would be the purpose of that? What could the government of the future, or world government, what would you use that for? And now we find out, well, it could only be done if people had electrodes built into their brain. That's what the scientists said. I researched it this morning. What would be the purpose of a device like that? And I was thinking, oh my goodness, how awful. Do you imagine those 666 people from Revelation 13? Imagine them walking around with the mark of the beast. And what if that wasn't just some beneficial system for, helping an electrode that helps a damaged limb or an eye that can't see well, or to restore sight, as they claim, and they have for many years, or something that helps your body. But what if those implants could also be used the other way around? You could be given a hint or instruction to do things. What if the world government what if they wanted one of their 666 people to go and do an unsavory job that they wouldn't normally consider doing, like, why don't you just go and murder the neighbor over there? They might suggest, you 66 number 735, why don't you go and they would use brainwaves against your own natural will to get you to do something unsavory and bad. It's just a suggestion, what if something like that were possible in the future? And what if right after that they wanted you to forget that you even did it? Now with a technology like that Neuralink, as shown in Men in Black, or Neurophase, or whatever it was, device they used to take away people's memory, maybe you wouldn't even remember what you did. Are you trying to imagine, are there examples in normal life where you can actually forget something? completely forget something, completely forget the habitual or something you're used to doing. Are there examples like that? Under what circumstance can you totally forget something? But anyway, in the movie Men in Black, it made out that there were devices that they point towards the people and say, look here. They flashed their little device and the people's mind was wiped. At least at that particular moment for what they'd just done. I don't know, it sounds pretty fantastical. I know it's science fiction, science fantasy, call it what you want, paranormal. But all I know is this morning when I woke up, that device was right there in my face. And later when I prayed about it, and my wife did too, we both got the same thing. We both got one of those devices from Men in Black. Although it doesn't look the same, because in Men in Black, they're, like I said, they're like little flashlights, the big light thing on the top of a little thin pole. They hold it and stuff. But this was not. It was like one of these modern phones like the one I have. But it was more sophisticated, the devices on it. But I was shocked because I thought that was just science fiction. And I looked it up and I found the scientists already trying to find a way to do it. They managed to succeed in mice, but that's because they wired up the mice. But they said you could only do that in humans because they succeeded in wiping the mice's memory about something shocking. They said they first gave the mice in the experiment electrical shocks, put them in a cage, cruel, huh? And then later they did something to them with a flash of light, and then it said it caused them to forget what had happened there, because first they electrified their cage to make the mice afraid of it, and later they took away their memory by this neuro device, and then the mice actually, they weren't afraid of the cage anymore. Like their memory of the cage getting electrified was taken away. Now that's just a brief look at the science of it. Is such a thing possible? Apparently we're close to those sort of things happening. I think that's very dangerous though, if people's minds can be wiped like that. Their memory can be wiped. I must say I've only had that happen to me, I think maybe on one occasion, and it was to do with my the SIM card, or not a SIM card, your bank card details, right? I think I was in too big a hurry one time. I go and put my bank card in the machine and I suddenly forgot the numbers, and I thought, you can't forget those numbers, you used them 1,000 times, how could you possibly forget those numbers? Yet I did. It was like for a searing moment, my mind wasn't working right. And I suppose that happens to others too. I think normally forgetting some things like numbers and that is could happen if you're in a big hurry, I suppose, a big rush, or too nervous or something like that. Therefore, I think it's always wise to slow it down a bit so things like that can't happen to you. Okay, I can understand one could temporarily forget a number to your bank card, but how could you possibly forget you doing something bad and traumatic? Like what I mentioned before under future technology. How could you possibly forget doing something bad because the government told you to? And then they cover it up by making you forget what you did. I mean, all the more reason don't get the mark of the beast, you know. I'm just hypothesizing, theorizing, added to a bit I had in a dream this morning, and plus studying a bit on science on what can be done along that line of wiping somebody's memory. Is it possible? And apparently it's not that impossible. So I just thought I'd let you know on that. So whatever you do, don't get any implants just for enhancement of the body, because one day it might be used against you. Don't use implants, and certainly don't go for the mark of the beast when it comes on the scene. I don't think that's far away either. But I'm sure it'll be touted as something, it'll be trumped up as something useful and helpful, and help your health and enhance your body, and you will become Superman and all this nonsense. But don't go near that stuff, because it can also be used against you. Well, thanks for listening. I would encourage you to get my books on the paranormal out at the Bottomless Pit, Book 1 and Book 2. Talk about things like this. And I have had quite a few paranormal experiences myself, good and bad. For some strange reason, I don't know why, but I just figure, well, it must happen to others too then. There must be a lot of other people who've had strange experience. Maybe they just don't have time to write it down or tell the rest of us. But I hope you find that interesting about future technology to take away people's memories, at least temporarily. Well, thanks for listening. Bye for now.